We live in a world filled with constant noise, yet many people have never felt more disconnected from themselves. What if the loudest problem in your life is not what others are saying, but the fact that you no longer hear your own voice? And what if focusing on yourself and embracing silence is the missing key to clarity, growth, and direction? In a world of social media chatter, endless opinions, and unsolicited advice, we have lost touch with something essential. We have lost touch with ourselves. Surrounded by noise, we forget how to listen inward. And that, my friends, is a real tragedy. When you focus on yourself, you are not being selfish. You are investing in the most valuable asset you will ever have. You. You begin to understand your thoughts, your desires, your strengths, and even your weaknesses. In doing so, you give yourself the gift of self-awareness. And that gift continues to reward you over time. Now let us talk about silence. In today's world, silence is often seen as uncomfortable, even frightening. We fill every moment with sound, conversation, and endless scrolling. But silence is where something powerful happens. It is in silence that you finally hear your own thoughts. It is where you reconnect with your deepest desires and your highest aspirations. When was the last time you sat in complete silence, without distractions, and simply listened to yourself? For most people, it has been far too long. And that is unfortunate, because within that silence lies the foundation of personal growth and success. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you create the ideal environment for growth. You give yourself space to reflect, to plan, and to dream. You allow your inner wisdom to speak, that quiet voice that knows what is right for you, even when you doubt it. This does not mean withdrawing from the world. That is not the goal. What matters is balance. You must intentionally create time each day to focus on yourself and embrace silence. It is in those moments that clarity begins to form and your true path starts to reveal itself. Let me share an example. I once knew a young man, let us call him Tom. Tom was always busy, always surrounded by people, always talking. He was successful in his career and had a wide circle of friends. From the outside, it looked like he had everything figured out. But inside, Tom felt lost. He did not truly know what he wanted or where he was going. Tom did not really know what made him happy. He was so busy listening to other people's opinions and advice that he had lost touch with his own voice. One day, he made a decision. He took a week off and went alone to a small cabin in the woods. No phone, no internet, no distractions, just Tom and his thoughts. The first few days were difficult. Tom was not used to silence. It made him anxious and uncomfortable. But as the days passed, something began to shift. In that quiet space, he started to hear his own thoughts clearly for the first time in years. He reconnected with his passions, his dreams, and the things that truly mattered to him. By the end of that week, Tom had gained more clarity about his life and goals than he had in the previous 5 years combined. He returned a changed man. He began making decisions based on what he genuinely wanted, not on what others expected. He pursued his true passions, not just what looked impressive on paper. And his life transformed. He became happier, more fulfilled, and more successful in ways that actually mattered to him. That is the power of focusing on yourself and staying silent. It gives you the clarity to make the right decisions for your life. Not the decisions others think you should make, but the ones that align with who you truly are. Now, some of you may be thinking that you do not have time for silence. You are too busy. But the truth is, you do not have time to live without it. When you are constantly busy and surrounded by noise, you become like a hamster on a wheel. You use a lot of energy, but you are not truly moving forward. You are reacting to life instead of creating it. When you take time to focus on yourself and embrace silence, you step off that wheel. You give yourself the chance to see the bigger picture, to plan your direction, and to make sure you are moving the right way. That is a far more effective use of your time and energy. Think of it this way. Imagine driving to a new destination without ever stopping to check a map or plan your route. You might eventually get there, but how much time would you waste? How many wrong turns would you take? How much frustration would you feel? Now imagine taking a few quiet minutes to look at the map and plan your path. You invest a little time at the beginning, but you save yourself countless hours later. That is exactly what focusing on yourself and staying silent does for your life. This practice gives you the clarity to chart your direction and the energy to follow through. But here is the important part. Focusing on yourself and staying silent is not a one-time event. It is not something you do once and then carry for life. It is a practice. It must be done regularly and consistently to deliver its full value. Think of it like exercise. You would never expect to visit the gym once and suddenly be in perfect shape. You understand that physical fitness requires steady effort over time. The same is true for your mental and emotional fitness. Focusing on yourself and embracing silence is a workout for your mind and your inner life. Now, some of you may be wondering how this works in real life. How do you focus on yourself and stay silent in a world built to distract you? That is a fair question. And that is exactly where we are going next. This is about practical ways to bring this habit into your daily routine, no matter how busy your schedule feels. Let us start with creating a daily silence ritual. This is a set time each day when you commit to being quiet and turning your attention inward. It does not need to be long. Even 15 minutes a day can create meaningful change. What matters most is consistency. Choose a time that fits your life. It might be early in the morning before the world wakes up. It could be during your lunch break. It may be right before you go to bed. The specific time is less important than making it a daily commitment. During this time, remove distractions. No phone, no television, no music, just you and your thoughts. Some people find it helpful to write during this time, capturing reflections or ideas. Others prefer to sit quietly and breathe, letting thoughts pass without judgment. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. When you are used to constant stimulation, silence can feel almost unsettling. But stay with it. Like any new habit, it becomes easier with practice. And the benefits that come from it are well worth the initial discomfort. Discomfort is part of the process. And that brings us to another important lesson. The power of saying no. Focusing on yourself often means saying no to others. And for many people, that is not easy. We are taught to be helpful, agreeable, and available. But here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something that does not align with your goals or values, you are saying no to yourself. Learning to say no is a critical skill if you want to truly focus on yourself. It is about setting boundaries and respecting your time and energy. Remember this. You are the author of your life. You get to decide how your time and energy are spent. Do not hand that power over to someone else. This does not mean becoming selfish or uncaring. Quite the opposite. When you are clear about your goals and values, you actually become more valuable to others. You give from a place of strength instead of exhaustion. Think about the rule on an airplane when the oxygen masks drop. You are told to put your own mask on first before helping anyone else. Why? Because if you cannot breathe, you cannot help anyone. The same principle applies to life. When you take care of yourself first, you are far better equipped to support others. Now let us talk about the power of reflection. Reflection is a core part of focusing on yourself. It means taking time to look back on your experiences, to learn from them, and to consider how you can improve. Many successful people practice reflection daily. They review what went well, what did not, and what lessons the day offered. This habit allows them to keep growing instead of repeating the same mistakes. Reflection does not need to be complicated. It can be as simple as asking yourself a few questions each day. What did I learn today? What am I grateful for? What could I have done better? How did I move closer to my goals? By consistently asking these questions, you train your mind to focus on what truly matters. You build self-awareness and create a pattern of continuous improvement. Now let us turn to another essential idea, defining success for yourself. For many people, success is defined by money, status, or possessions. But the truth is, real success is deeply personal. It is about living a life that aligns with your values and fulfills you on a deeper level. When you focus on yourself, you give yourself the freedom to define what success truly means to you. For some, success may be about making a positive impact on others. For others, it may be about continuous learning and growth. It could be about creating something meaningful or expressing yourself through art. Whatever it is, your definition of success is uniquely yours. And when you are clear about what success means to you, you are far more likely to achieve it. You stop chasing someone else's version of success and start pursuing what genuinely matters to you. Now let us consider the role of silence in decision-making. In a fast-paced world, we are often pressured to decide quickly. But the most meaningful decisions, the ones that align with who we truly are, usually require time and quiet. When you face an important decision, resist the urge to respond immediately. Create space for silence. Sit with the choice. Very often, clarity emerges in that stillness. Your intuition and inner wisdom do not shout. They speak softly. In the noise of everyday life, those quiet signals are easy to miss. But in silence, they become clear. Now let us talk about self-education. When you focus on yourself, you take responsibility for your own growth. You do not wait for someone else to teach you or for opportunities to appear. You actively seek knowledge and experiences that help you improve. Reading is one of the most powerful tools for self-education. When you read, you enter a conversation with the author. You encounter new ideas and fresh perspectives. And in the quiet space of reading, you can reflect on how those ideas apply to your own life. But self-education goes beyond books. It is about curiosity. It is about asking questions, seeking new experiences, and being willing to step outside your comfort zone. Now let us explore the power of visualization. When you focus on yourself and embrace silence, you create the ideal environment for visualization. Visualization is a powerful tool for achieving your goals. It involves forming a clear and vivid mental picture of what you want to accomplish. When you visualize, you are shaping your subconscious mind and creating a blueprint for success. And when visualization is paired with consistent action, your progress accelerates. Take a few quiet moments each day to visualize your goals. See yourself moving forward with confidence, clarity, and purpose. As you visualize your goals, imagine achieving them. Feel the emotions you will experience when you succeed. The clearer and more detailed your vision becomes, the more powerful its effect will be. Now let us talk about self-compassion. When you focus on yourself, it is easy to become overly critical. You begin to notice every flaw, every shortcoming, every area that needs improvement. While self-awareness is important, it must be balanced with self-compassion. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same patience and understanding you would offer a close friend. It is about recognizing that you are human, that mistakes are part of growth. Instead of punishing yourself for failure, you learn from it. When you practice self-compassion, you create a safe environment for progress. You become more willing to take risks and try new things, because you know that even if you stumble, you will respond with kindness rather than harsh judgment. Now consider the role of silence in creativity. Many of the world's greatest ideas were born in moments of quiet. When your mind is constantly filled with noise and information, there is little room for new thoughts to form. But in silence, your mind is free to wander, to connect ideas, and to discover solutions you may not see otherwise. If you are facing a challenge or working on something creative, spend time in silence. Give your mind space. You may be surprised by what emerges when you allow your thoughts to move freely. Next, let us talk about aligning your actions with your values. When you focus on yourself, you gain clarity about what truly matters to you. You begin to identify your core values. But knowing your values is only the first step. You must live them. Take time to reflect on the principles you want to guide your life. Then look honestly at your daily actions. Do they reflect those values? If not, what needs to change? Living in alignment with your values creates integrity and fulfillment. It allows you to live authentically and stay true to who you are. Now let us turn to the power of solitude. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness feels empty and disconnected. Solitude, when chosen intentionally, is a source of strength. Loneliness is a feeling of disconnection. Solitude, on the other hand, is a positive state. It is the choice to be alone for a moment, so you can reconnect more deeply with yourself. In today's hyper-connected world, true solitude is rare. We are constantly linked to others through screens and notifications. Yet solitude is essential for deep thinking, self-discovery, and restoring your mental and emotional energy. Try to intentionally create moments of solitude in your life. It could be a quiet walk in nature, a short retreat, or even an hour alone in a calm room without distractions. Use that time to reflect, to dream, and to reconnect with who you truly are. Now let us talk about setting intentions. When you focus on yourself, you begin to live more intentionally. Instead of letting life simply happen, you start shaping how you experience it. Setting intentions is different from setting goals. Goals focus on outcomes. Intentions focus on who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world. Begin each day by choosing an intention. It might be patience. It might be presence. It might be calm or focus. By setting an intention, you create a framework for the day. You decide in advance how you want to move through your experiences. Next, let us consider the role of silence and listening. When we think about communication, we often think about speaking. But listening is just as important, if not more so. True listening requires silence. When you are in conversation, practice being quiet and fully attentive. Do not simply wait for your turn to talk. Try to understand the other person's perspective and emotions. This kind of deep listening strengthens relationships and offers insights you might otherwise miss. Now let us talk about journaling. Journaling is a powerful tool for self-discovery and growth. It is a private conversation with yourself, a space to explore thoughts and emotions freely. When you write, you create a record of your journey. Over time, you can look back and see how you have grown and what you have learned. Often, clarity emerges in the act of writing itself, revealing patterns, solutions, and new understanding. Now let us turn to gratitude. When you focus on yourself, cultivating gratitude becomes essential. Gratitude shifts your attention from what is missing to what is already present. It encourages appreciation for the good in your life, no matter how small. Take a moment each day to reflect on what you are grateful for. It may be something simple, like a quiet morning, or something meaningful, like a supportive relationship. What you consistently focus on begins to grow. Finally, let us talk about self-care. When you focus on yourself, you recognize the importance of caring for your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Self-care is not selfish. It is necessary. It allows you to show up fully in your life. And self-care looks different for everyone. For some people, self-care may look like exercise. For others, it may be meditation, a quiet hobby, or time spent doing something they love. The key is to discover what truly restores you and to make space for it on a regular basis. Now let us talk about the role of silence in problem solving. When a challenge appears, our instinct is often to rush into action and search for answers immediately. But many of the best solutions emerge when we slow down. When you allow yourself to sit quietly with a problem, your mind continues working beneath the surface. In that silence, new connections form and creative solutions often appear, ones that noise and urgency can easily block. Next, consider the importance of authenticity. When you focus on yourself and embrace silence, you create room to reconnect with who you truly are. In a world that constantly pressures you to conform, staying true to yourself is a powerful act. It takes courage to honor your unique perspective, your values, and your natural strengths. Silence gives you the clarity to do exactly that. Now let us talk about mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present without judgment. It is a state of open awareness in the moment. When you practice mindfulness, you are focusing on yourself at the deepest level. You observe your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations without being controlled by them. This awareness builds calm, clarity, and inner balance. Silence also plays a powerful role in creativity. Many of the world's greatest ideas, inventions, and works of art were born in quiet moments. When your mind is constantly flooded with information and noise, creativity struggles to surface. In silence, your mind is free to wander, connect ideas, and imagine new possibilities. In closing, focusing on yourself and staying silent is not about isolation or selfishness. It is about creating the space you need to grow, to understand yourself, and to reconnect with your authentic nature. It is about quieting the world so you can hear your own inner wisdom. This practice brings clarity, purpose, and fulfillment. Remember, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Start small. Commit to just a few minutes each day focused on yourself and silence. As you experience the benefits, this practice will naturally expand, and you will grow in ways you never imagined. I wish you good health, lasting happiness, and steady growth on your journey. And if this message resonated with you, remember to subscribe to Mindset Daily so we can continue growing stronger together.